Okay, so in terms of proper storage, again, you have to take note of the compatibilities of your different chemicals. So you cannot, here is an example of a storage compatibility chart. So you cannot keep explosives with flammable gases, oxidizing gases, gases under pressure, and so forth. You can keep it with water reactives. To some extent, some chemicals might be kept together, but of course, given certain conditions. And so this one is a very useful guide if you want to like segregate your different compounds. So again, you have to first know what is the hazards of your compounds, and then from there, segregate them. So can I just ask, for example, acetic acid. So acetic acid is both an acid and a flammable. Where will you store acetic acid? Together with the flammables or together with the corrosives, the acids? What do you think for acetic acid? Corrosives, okay? Together with corrosives, okay? Okay, so a lot of you answered corrosives. Actually, the recommended storage, for example, for acetic acid, for formic acid, which are organic acids, is in the flammables cabinet. Why? So actually, kasi organic solvents like acetic acid and formic acid, although they are corrosive and they are acidic, they can actually react with your inorganic acids such as nitric acid, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid. They can get oxidized. And so, yun, incompatibility siya. And so usually organic acids such as formic acid and acetic acid are kept in the flammables cabinet, pero they are kept in a smaller, aside from being in the flammables cabinet, they are kept in a smaller containment. So, for example, meron kang small bucket, or yes, a small bucket that can be fully closed. You'll keep your acetic acid inside that, and then keep that bucket containing your acetic or formic acid inside the flammables cabinet. So that is the proper storage for acetic acid. So proper storage will, as I've mentioned, will include your flammables cabinet. You will have your specific storage cabinets also for acids and bases, which are corrosive. So as you can see from here, the material that is used for flammables is usually metal. Kasi for flammables, for solvents, they might be able to dissolve yung mga polymers natin or plastics. So they are usually kept in a metal cabinet. On the other hand naman, your acids and bases, your corrosives are kept in usually in high density plastic materials or polymer materials kasi you cannot keep them in the corrosives kasi pwedeng makorrode ng corrosives yung iyong cabinet. And so they usually make use of this HDPE or other polymer or plastic materials for the storage of your corrosives. In terms of like using for compounds or chemicals that has to be refrigerated, you have to make use of explosive proof refrigerators. So you cannot just use your usual household refrigerators. So yung mga Kelvinator natin, ano ba mga brands na ng ref ngayon? So yon, yung mga Samsung or Kelvinator or Condura fridges natin na pangbahay. Ano?
Frigidaire.
Oh, Frigidaire. Yun. So
Wala
yung
na
mga
yun.
ganon na refrigerators are not suitable for chemicals. So yung you have to get refrigerators that are suitable for the lab. So yung mga explosion proof so explosion proof refrigerator. So basically these are refrigerators wherein wala kang source of sparks or electronic sparks. Kasi if you have if you're refrigerating organic solvents, there will still be somehow some escapes of vapors that can be flammable, and so you have to make sure that your refrigerators do not have sources of heat or sparks. And so yun yung that is the need for these explosion-proof refrigerators. And as you can see, if you make use of the usual household refrigerators, if anything happens, yun, medyo malaking damage sa lab kapag sumabog yun. Okay, aside from these storage considerations, you also need to consider that for flammable chemicals, you have to implement maximum allowable quantities per room and on bench top. So I'm still not very sure about the regulations here in the Philippines, but in Singapore, they have well-defined regulations in terms of like the different chemicals, especially when, for example, for flammables, they have a Petroleum and Flammables Act. And they define there like what are the maximum allowable quantities per given square footage or square meter of floor area. And so you have to follow these regulations. And for our case, so aside from having that maximum allowable quantity per room, so pwede ka magkaroon ng mga flammables sa flammables cabinet mo within the room. And aside from that, dun sa bench tops, like for example, in your usual work areas or bench top, you are only allowed a maximum of 20% of the total maximum allowable quantity of the lab to be on your bench top. So dapat hindi rin masyadong marami yung present na organic solvents or flammables mo in your bench tops. So as much as possible, those that you do not use frequently or yung bulk of your solvents has to be in a flammables cabinet. Also, you have to provide secondary containment for your different solvent solutions, and it has to hold at least 20% of the volume. So in cases of minsan mabasagan ka ng bote or sudden spillage, you have to be able to have that containment. And so usually meron kaming tray that is about a few inches deep to contain our solution bottles, solvent bottles, so that in case anything happens, there is a container to contain whatever spillage that comes out.